Welcome to The Funniest Thing.
Yes.
Where each week we share stories about how stepping out boldly always leads to better than expected outcomes.
Oh my goodness. Thank goodness.
I'm Darrell.
And I'm Ed.
And we're broadcasting live from CHOBO Studios in beautiful, where, Ed?
Beautiful downtown Van Nuys.
Yes. But before we get in today's show, we have a few exciting things, some people to thank.
Thank you, Patreon supporters. We really appreciate you contributing to the show.
Yes, we
It
do.
really helps out on the financial end. We love you. Helps us stay here in CHOBO Studios. Patreon.com/funniest thing is where you can go to make a monthly contribution to the show, should you feel so inclined. Just like Rod Schweitzer did last month. We appreciate him.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. You know, we got a great healing text. We talk about this affirmative prayer. It's just amazing. So we have a good buddy by the name of Bruce Foster who listens to the show as well. But he's actually a real life friend of ours as well.
Yeah.
And he sent us a text. Did you want me to just read this all that he said, or does this need to be edited at all? Do you know? It says, "Hey Darrell,
just read it.
Bruce here. I had it. So we were praying and affirming. What was
he had a bad diagnosis. He had prostate cancer, and he went through the chemotherapy. This all happened during COVID, and then he would go in and get periodically checked just to make sure everything was good to go and he was moving along in a much healthier direction. And what happened was, during his last visit, just a few months ago, he saw the doctor's face change on the Zoom call when they looked at the numbers.
Right.
And it wasn't good. So he doubled down on, rather than like caving in, he doubled down on the affirmative.
Right.
And he's, just put all his faith in this stuff that we talk about every week.
Right.
And rather than putting off a trip he had planned to visit his daughter in Maine, he lives in California. He went on that. He had an incredible couple of weeks up there. He went to New York City and decided, I'm not going to let everyone, because all his family members, extended family, are from that area.
Right.
So rather than let everybody know he was coming to town and then feel obligated to do things the family wanted to do, he said, I'm just going to have the time of my life in New York.
Right.
Which he did. And he came back and went to see the doctor now, because now what are we going to do about this?
Right.
So he went in for another test.
Right.
And this is the text.
Hey, Bruce here. I had a Zoom appointment with my oncologist today. She said she never saw the results I had before. PSA going down at this juncture. I told her I was practicing positive outcomes and the power of prayer. Thank you for all you do. Bruce, have a great evening.
Yes, and I've since seen him, and he is blown away.
It's amazing. My buddy Josh, who I've talked about before, for something to do with teaching that he shared, and we shared it on the show, he was riding his bike to school yesterday, and a truck backed out, and it just clipped the basket of his car, of his bike, the electric bike, and he went flying across the street, cracked the helmet on. Thank God he had the helmet on. The guy was very loving. He was so high on adrenaline, he told the ambulance, I'll just go to work. He went to work, and then he just was getting sorer as the day went on, because he slid across the street and just banged his head. And last night I talked to him, and he said, I said, how you doing? He said, I'm getting sore. He said, tomorrow could be worse. And I just said, I'm affirming a great healing night of sleep.
Yes, tomorrow could be better.
A great day. And I talked to him on the way to the studio, and we both agreed how amazing this stuff was, because he said, although he's still sore, he actually is not worse. He's actually feeling really good. So this stuff is amazing, because what we're really doing is cooperating with the natural healing flow of the universe.
That's what today's show is all about.
Yeah, because with thoughts that feel bad, they don't feel bad because they're powerful thoughts. They feel bad because they're resisting the power. Whereas good thoughts feel good because they're cooperating with the flow of life. The only reason bad feeling thoughts feel bad, There's only one power. It's love. It's joy. It's healing. It's so these bad thoughts feel bad because you're trying to resist the whole universe that's trying to heal us at every moment. And remember, healing is just a return to our wholeness, an awareness of our wholeness. And once our mind accepts that, like Bruce did, like Josh did, amazing things happen much smoother, much more grace, much more ease.
Yeah, because just like that famous quote from the 80s.
What?
I fought the law and the law won.
So we want to stop fighting.
It's going to win either way, so stop fighting it. Go with it.
That's right.
It's the law of good and plenty.
That's right.
Oh, one last thing. I forgot to mention. When I did see Bruce in person just 2 nights ago, he brought this up because he was so excited to see me and so excited to continue with this train of thought he's on. Right. He listens to our show all the time, and he does his morning routine and reads a lot of the books we read. Right. And he said the most incredible thing was the doctor's response. Right. About being blown away that she has never seen results like this after what she saw, just what was indicated just a few months ago. But most of all, she was really impressed and intrigued by him sharing how he was using his mind to cooperate with these ideas of health rather than continue to worry and become depressed.
Yeah, that is the beauty of this stuff, is the way there's this ripple effect. It awakens the divine in everyone when we live this way. Yeah. And so our whole life starts to really become heaven on earth, which is amazing. We want to thank our listeners, by the way. If you want to send us something, funniest thing, P.O. Box 1312, Culver City, California, 90232. Someone named Robert Smith sent this to us from Washington, by the way. It is a video cassette. We believe Kirky from Germany might be actually behind it, maybe through eBay or something. Yes. But if it's Robert Smith, thank you. If it's Kirky, thank you. I had mentioned on an episode I think it was with Archie Boston, I actually mentioned it because I think I said I used to love how at the end of Picture Pages, those shows, they would talk about a P.O. box that you could order things from, and I tried to order my Picture Pages, but it never came. So Robert Smith, possibly in conjunction with Kirky Chelson from Germany, sent us a VHS cassette of Picture Pages that actually includes 2 Picture Page books. So my order finally arrived. Darrell and I, we could go to the house that we share, like Ernie and Bert, and we could pop this in our VHS player and do our Picture Pages together. So thank you, Robert, and who we believe to be Kirky. Who else? We want to thank Angela Main, who subscribed to the YouTube channel. Yes. If you have not, go there. There's full. You could do it right now if you're watching on YouTube. Hit the like and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video. So Angela Main hopped on board. We're so excited at the fact that we have these full-length episodes to share on YouTube. Serena Leffler. Love, Thank and Grow Rich, which was our last episode. She said, with David McClure. Yes. Thanks, Darrell and Ed. Wow. Robert Barncourt on YouTube said, I can't take anyone who wears sunglasses indoors seriously. Thank you, Robert. We let Robert know that we're happy that he's not taking this stuff seriously, because seriousness, as we know, is just fear pretending to act like a grown-up. And also, Oscar Wilde said it best. What did he say? Life is too important to be taken seriously. That's right. The teacher, when I got my master's in spiritual psychology, he did say one thing that I enjoyed, which was replace the word serious with sincere. When we're sincere about something, we get results. We're coming from a loving, and that's often what people mean. A lot of people mean by taking something serious is like But the way I feel, if I'm sincere about this. But if I'm serious about it, probably means I'm coming from a place of fear, doubt, and worry, which is always self-defeating. Michael Schoonover, our great Unity minister from San Diego, said, another Ether Grand Slammer hit episode. Well, thank you. Michael Schoonover loves the word ether, doesn't he? Well, because he's on the Ethernet. That's right. What else do we got? Oh, we got a website, Ed. DarrellandEd.com. You can go there, find out everything we do. We also have a chief engineer. He's in Kansas City, And he's actually in Kansas City, Kansas.
Kansas City, Kansas.
Yeah. Delicious barbecue if you're ever out there. If you ever visit Unity Village, we recommend it. He is the man who really built Unity Online Radio. We took him with us. He came along. Actually, he took us with him, really. He's really the reason why the show continued after Unity Online Radio closed its doors. He helped. He uploaded all of our episodes, saved them for us, and he does the audio editing for the podcast that you listen to wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, the great sound effects that you're not hearing on YouTube that you hear on
the Apple Podcasts or
wherever you
Spotify.
Listen to podcasts. Jeff Comfort's behind it all.
And each week
he takes us right into the comfort zone. Yes.
I want to thank Indy over here at CHOBO Studios for making this whole thing look and sound so great. Thank you, Indy.
Thank you, guys. Love you.
Yep. Come on out to CHOBO Studios. CHOBOstudios.com. Shout out to Silent Unity. If you really need some help affirming the good, to help you rise and shine, which is what we're about to get to in a moment, to help you cooperate with healing, to cooperate with prosperity, with abundance, to cooperate with these things.
Yes.
Call Silent Unity, 800-NOW-PRAY, 800-669-7729. We don't just talk about it, we use it. I used it this week with something with Darrell in his car. I used it for when my son had a midterm exam. What it really does is help me get my mind, for one, out of the muck of worry, because that's not helping anyone. In fact, that could be interfering with someone's good or my experience of it. And it also it helps me know that I've done something to help that situation that I was concerned about, and it just feels great.
Yeah, I also used it today when I was waiting online somewhere in my car. I had to wait in a drive-through.
Okay.
And my thinking wasn't 100% because I was starting to grumble or get concerned, whatever it was at the time. I know because I can tell by the way I'm feeling. My thinking is starting to become stinking.
Right.
And so I just called the Silent Unity. This is another thing you do, and I just listened because you can listen to a recorded
so you hit number 2.
Yeah, you hit number 2
and all pre-recorded prayer.
And I just kept hearing about the power of love. And then sure enough, sooner than later, things all came together. It really is incredible. That's what this episode, Rise and Shine, it's really about. The whole gist of all of this stuff is maintaining our consciousness. There's a thing, I'm just going to mention it briefly. Emmett Fox writes about it, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And, all these things, oh, my God, I used to think the things in the Bible, they're premonitions of things from outside me that are just terrible, and these 4 horsemen are going to come and,
or the history of terrible things that happen.
It's going to be like movies I saw about World War I, but that's not what it is. The Bible is all about what's within us, not what's without us. And when Emmett Fox, you can get this pamphlet. I highly recommend it. You can get it on Amazon or anywhere. It's called The 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse by Emmett Fox.
Hey, get the Round the Year with Emmett Fox. Add it to your morning routine.
Yes, it's in there as well. It's in there as well. And in it, he explains simply, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse represent the 4 parts of us. Mm-hmm. There's the intellectual part,
right.
There's the emotional part,
right.
There's the physical part, and then there's the spiritual part.
Right. Yeah.
And the white horse represents the spiritual part. The red horse is the emotional part. The black horse is the intellectual. And now I can't remember, the gray horse, right? Is it the gray horse is the physical. So living healthy in this material world on this planet, but not of it, we need all parts to be equal. And the crazy part, harmonized. I used to think I had to make things work outside, get them all working out here. Once I do this, once I do that, then I'll be happy. My emotional state would be okay, and then I'd be healthy. And it doesn't work. It's a nightmare when you're trying to manipulate each one, going here for that, going here, trying all these different things to get everything in balance.
Right.
But the magic and the key, and with the title of our episode, is just focus on the spiritual horse.
Just there.
Stay on the spiritual horse. And on the spiritual horse, he has an arrow, and it represents our word. Wherever our word goes, that becomes reflected in our circumstance. Or how our thoughts are going is reflected in our circumstances.
Yes.
So rise and shine is really when we rise in consciousness, meaning all I have to do is always just maintain my consciousness. Then, as a result, my circumstances and those 4 parts of myself harmonize.
Yeah, and then you'll be inspired to take action in whatever areas you need to. And not only will you be inspired to take action, but you'll be inspired to take effective action. And it's actually our nature to rise. It's only when we're holding ourselves down with fear, down, and worry that we don't rise. And that's why it's so taxing, because it's all like the universal attempt to get us to let go and let ourselves rise again. So our show today is called Rise and Shine with Greg Barrette. By simply rising in consciousness, we naturally attract all the good we could possibly desire. You do not have to make things happen. God is right where you are, wherever you are. Trust that God knows your desires and enjoy the joyful expectation that God is arranging things on your behalf.
Yes.
On this episode, Darrell and Ed let listeners know that they can have faith and have miracles, or they can deny faith and deflect them. And during the second segment, metaphysical wizard, unity minister, Greg Barrette, raises our eyebrows and our spirits with today's daily word, let go and let God. And you might notice, if in case Robert Barncourt ever checks in again, now I have the glasses that you might trust more. I have my reading glasses on just in case you're deterred by the sunglasses I was wearing. But I want to get into the breaths because just before the show, I picked up Kathy Norman's book, Sermon on the Molehill.
Yep.
Great book. If you want to, again, you can see it on YouTube. I'm holding up the book here. It's a great picture of Kathy on top of a molehill. She is hilarious and inspiring and wise. And I texted Darrell these breaths earlier to give him a kick up the stairs.
Thinking that he was just being funny, folks.
Yeah, then Darrell said, no, we got to use those.
No, when we got here, Ed goes, we still got to come up with 3 breaths. I go, what are you talking about? You sent me 3 breaths.
Yeah.
And I think Ed's brain at that point thought they were still a little corny, but then he miraculously...
Yes. You know what I said? Actually, enjoy. Should we use that?
Yes!
Okay, good.
And
all right.
Then he miraculously opens his book while we were in the green room eating our muffins.
Yeah, so I opened
this, folks.
And the chapter is called Out of the Cocoon.
In divine order.
Out of the Cocoon. So I said, oh my God, this is exactly what we're talking about. And when you hear the breaths, you'll even know why more. So Kathy says, often we like to hang out in our uncomfortableness to complain, gripe, moan, and groan. Instead, remember to use your uncomfortableness as a stepping stone, not a campground.
Yes.
Your uncomfortableness can be a place of profound empowerment as long as you remember, though, that although everything of this world changes, God is changeless. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. This is the great truth known in all religious traditions. No matter what is going on in our lives, God is the same. God is fully present, always. This unchanging God resides at your very center. This unchanging God has always resided in and as the very essence of you. And she says at the end of this, the Bible does not state, cling to the old. It states, behold, I make all things new.
Yes.
From Revelations 21:5. And she says, embrace change and allow the new into your life.
I'm getting excited because what you unconsciously wrote works even better because, we'll say it after when we substitute I'll say it now. When we substitute the word Lord, it's synonymous with law in metaphysics. So this works even better because when our mind gets right, we can really enjoy the fact that things are going to work out right.
And remember, it's our nature to rise.
Yes.
That when they say God has changed us, it means the goodness within us is always there, even when our mind wanders away and thinks it's alone in some far-off land fighting battles. As soon as we return, we realize that whole thing was just a nightmare we were having. And
temporary,
It was temporary. It's funny how nightmare just means mare, like a horse laying on you, because that like sleep paralysis, a mare that lays on you in the night. But it could be a daymare too.
Yeah,
where this horse is of our own making is laying on us, holding us down. We need to slap that. Yeah, that's the white horse. Wake it up. Come on, time to go.
Slap him in the hind
quarters. And I gotta tell you something. Kirk Chelson, I just got a text from him regarding the picture pages. But first, let's take 3 deep breaths.
Okay, here they are, folks. The moment you've been waiting for. What were the 3 breaths that Ed kicked Fazaro upstairs with?
It's time to climb out of the morgue and enjoy the Lord. So let's take a deep breath. Climb out of the morgue and enjoy the Lord.
Wait, should I? Yeah, okay, ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yes.
I climb out of the morgue and enjoy the Lord. I climb out of the morgue and enjoy the Lord.
Wow. That is kicking me upstairs. I got to say, Kirk Chell, what I want to share.
I got the great reading before.
Oh, when I sent you this?
Yes. Yes.
I was doing my morning routine. I had to say this with some gravitas.
I could see that.
I'm just kidding. No, I was doing my morning routine, and I had meditated, and I had climbed out of the morgue of my own thinking, and I was affirming my good. I was declaring it, because I learned growing up to like kind of wait on the Lord, meaning like I don't know if he's really going to come. Probably not. I'm going to sit around and worry and mope. Like Kathy said, I'm going to camp out in the worry.
Well, because there's virtue in worry.
Yeah, and there's very little chance that anything's going to show up to help me. But I'll make a virtue out of all this suffering I'm doing. But instead, this morning, my consciousness, by sitting there and breathing after I did my inspired reading, oh my God, I started rising above all of that muck and mire. And then I started just affirming, I do not consent to that old way. I consent to having the most amazing day, the most amazing show. I don't consent to any of that worry. Like, it was unraveling so much old crap from my consciousness. And right then I was so high. And then that's when you texted me something. And I was like, climb out of the morgue and enjoy the Lord. Because I was seeing things like Butterworth talking about praying from God at that moment. I was one with this inner divinity, so it's so easy for me to be like, wow, there's nothing, none of this fear, doubt, or worry is real. I had risen, and I was shining in that moment.
I'm kicking myself because there was this one quote in the beginning of the Ernest Holmes reading for this month.
Yeah,
that was exactly what you were saying, and it reinforced by the fact that we don't have to worry about making this stuff happen.
Yeah.
Like making a new idea happen. All we need to do is take the time to just stop, be still, and it will come. And don't worry about the answer coming. You don't even have to expect the answer will come. But if you just relax, it can't help but to not come.
What was that TV show where the line was, kicking myself for nothing was my favorite sport. I had to get up and start enjoying, 'cause life's too short. There's a new girl in town and I'm feeling good. That was a great metaphysical song.
Was that the was that the Alice?
That was Alice, right?
Yeah, with the guy who you say looks like me.
Mel Sharples.
Yes. What a great song. We got to sing that next week.
Yeah. Let me read this, because then we can go back into a place of sanctity with what you're going to read.
Okay.
I said, Kirk, did you send picture pages? Plug your ears if you're not into 3-letter words that might offend you. He says, you bet your ass I did. Now you can't say you never got Eddie. So don't be an Eddie of lack no more. Well, thank you, Kirk. You have solved and healed my feeling of lack around picture pages. So thank you. Go on.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to read this one before we go to the break. This is a great reading from A Year of Miracles by Marianne Williamson. It's actually tomorrow's reading, folks. So you have something good to look forward to.
We can do that and this and then go to break.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go from day 275 or October 2nd.
Yes.
When you remember that you're a spiritual being, that God alone is the source of your power, and that the universe is inherently designed to provide for your needs, then you are thinking in a miracle-minded way. You are exercising dominion over the mortal plane by remembering you are not of it. You will find yourself living in an enchanted universe. You'll just happen to be seated next to someone on an airplane who is destined to be your new best friend. You'll just happen to think up some fabulous new project and attain effortless success in some non-traditional way. You'll just happen to meet someone in line at Starbucks who makes a casual comment that completely rocks your world. Why? Because there is a realm of infinite creativity that exists beyond the mortal mind, yet within the mind of God.
Right.
This is not fantasy, but rather the spiritual reality of the universe.
Yes.
If you choose not to believe this, that is your choice. If you choose to believe it, that is your miracle.
Yes. Wow. And then Michael Schoonover, who we mentioned earlier, who's an amazing historian of this metaphysical movement, but he's not a historian like someone who just wants to put things in a museum. He loves it because the energy and the life and the truth of that comes through these teachings. So he sent us something from the Good Business magazine that Unity used to publish from February 1937. And Darrell and I have talked about this many times because we were in the archives once at Unity Village.
Yes.
We picked up one of these Good Businesses, and we were just shot through. We were rising and shining immediately. We couldn't believe that this existed, and why it doesn't exist anymore. It's so practical, and everyone needs it in business.
Why are they hiding it in the archives? This stuff should be out there and disseminated just as much today as it was when it was written.
Correct. And so Michael Schoonover sent us this one, an article called Absolute Trust. I put absolute trust in the guidance of my higher self. Very few men and women are wholly reliant upon their own wisdom. Usually when a man faces some new undertaking, he likes to ask the opinion of others who may have had experience along that particular line. The opinions thus sought are usually honest and are often helpful. Yet to evaluate them at their highest, they are but human ideas and expressions, and we know that human ideas are far from infallible. Ideas in their purity as well as completeness come from within ourselves when we make conscious contact with universal intelligence. This point of contact we sometimes call the higher self. As we have suggested in previous exercises of this type, we can learn to turn instantly to this higher self for the ideas we need. However, we must have implicit trust in the source itself and in the ideas that come from it, if we are to reap the highest good that it affords. We can develop such trust by keeping constantly in mind the never-failing accuracy of the inner guidance and ease the confidence with which it enables us to do our work. As our trust becomes absolute, the results become increasingly more of value into our affairs. And
that's when you go, funniest thing, I can't believe it.
Right, and that's why I was talking to my friend Josh on the way over here, and Darrell and I are both artists. I wrote a lot of music, and I used to perform and sing and rap and improvise stuff. But what I didn't have back then was, like, I knew when it would come through, it felt good, but I hadn't studied enough to know that I could trust it. So I was always doubting it and afraid it wasn't going to happen again. And that really had, like, between being raised Catholic and being connected with the teachings of Christ there, but then becoming an artist and feeling this place that from this where these ideas are just birthed, where amazing things happen, it really set me on the path of wanting to understand more. I mean, I didn't think about I'm on the path, but I was on the path. It's really just studying that place within us so that we know that when it really matters, we trust that inner source more than the fears and doubts and worries that start to fire up in our head that say, oh, that's just childish. That's silly. We can't trust that right now. This is business. That's when the seriousness.
Yes.
But when we trust that, this is the most valuable thing we can bring, whether it's a meeting, a business project, whether you're buying a house, going to the car dealer, whatever you're doing, this is the more we study it and practice it. And I mean, studying is really doing a morning routine.
Yes.
Read a little bit in the morning, meditate, say some affirmative prayers. That is the best way to study. And then go out and live and see how it works. And it's amazing. It always proves true. And like the voice inside me this week said to me when something was going on, do not entertain thoughts that do not entertain you. That do not entertain your success. because a lot of times in the past, I've entertained fears, doubts, and worries, and all they're telling me is, you're not good enough, you're not going to make it, but if you trust us, you'll get by, or you won't get in trouble. Those are not the type of thoughts I want. I only want to entertain thoughts that entertain my own success, my own divinity, because those are the thoughts that are coming from within, from God. Those are actually the thoughts we can trust. So that's what this show is really all about. So it's time to rise and shine. And coming up next, let's see here, Metaphysical Wizard, Unity Minister, Greg Barrette raises our eyebrows and spirits with today's daily word, let go, let God. Thank you for listening to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed.
We did it. We're in the second segment, and our guest has not left the green room yet. Today's episode is Rise and Shine with Greg Barrette.
Yes.
And Ed, what do we got?
Well, I just want to remind listeners to be a member of the Funniest Thing Club. We're a group of truth enthusiasts who live each day as ambassadors of God's love. As we consciously radiate love, we perform everyday miracles and experience better than expected outcomes. If you're already living this way or strive to, then you may consider yourself a member.
That's true.
We motivate one another by simply sharing how miracles naturally occur in our circumstances as a result of living lovingly and expectingly.
Oh, that was from another show.
Yeah, you may already be a member of the Funniest Thing Club, and you didn't know it, but we're glad you're here with us.
Well, you know what, Ed? Let me read this quickie.
Little thing from Chuck Fillmore, Papa Charlie.
This is a book I've been reading lately. Keep on my nightstand. I always revolve the books on my nightstand. I highly recommend you commit. Well, first of all, I'm going to say we set the bar low here at Funniest Thing for a reason, because then we actually commit to these things.
Correct.
So if you could just commit to just reading 2 pages a night. Can you read 2 pages a night before you go to bed? It's easy. That was suggested to me 36 years ago by Mike Dugan, my mentor, and God darn it, it's stuck. And some nights I'll be looking at my YouTube and I'll go, I'm going to go to just 2 pages. All right. And there's something about going to bed after reading 2 pages of something positive and spiritual.
That reminds you who you are.
Yeah, well,
it's all good.
And I think it works on us overnight in our subconscious.
Right. You're providing with like healthy things to digest.
And this one was this reading in this book, Dare to Prosper by Catherine Ponder. She quotes Charles Fillmore. It goes perfect with today's show, maintaining your consciousness. And he says this: thoughts are things and occupy space in mind. We cannot have newer, better ones in a place already crowded with old, weak, inefficient thoughts. A mental house cleaning is even more necessary than a material one. And this doesn't mean a big undertaking. It just means watching my mind, which I try to do the best I can throughout my day, deleting the negatives and accentuating the positives.
Yes, and Kirky in Germany sent us a postcard. On the front it says, "Well done for staying together." I'll put it to the camera for our YouTubers.
Yeah, it looks like me getting hit over the head with a chair by
So in the
Lori.
first frame, there's having a couple having a loving glass of wine at a local cafe. It says, "Well done for staying together." In the next frame, the woman is breaking a chair over the man's back and the table's on the ground. So anyway, Kirky we like to send funny things on the postcard side. Oh man, there's a great stamp with Darrell's face. And it says, "Does this hat make me look fat?" I got to show you guys this.
Oh my goodness. I think that's a turban or chic. The thing, yeah.
I don't know if you can see it, but there you go. So anyway, but this is the medicine. This is why we're trying to get to here. So he says he sent us a quote from Mary Kupferle, who we love.
Mary Kupferle.
Yes, that's what I attempted to say. God is healing you now.
Yes.
It is occurring at this very moment, whether you know it or not.
I love this one.
You need not have some mystical experience. You need not feel any unusual physical sensation. You need not even be aware of how it is happening. You need only to relax and let go and be assured that it is already done, or that it is being done. That's by Mary Kupferle. So on to the guest, our friend Greg Barrette. So there's a lot to this.
First is a miracle. We decided on a drive to go listen to Kathy Norman speak.
Yeah, we were about 20 minutes out of Unity of Santa Barbara on our way there on a Sunday morning, and we've been listening to a lot of inspired things, and we decided, I went on YouTube because what are we going to listen to next? What is the first 15 minutes of the movie? What is New Thought came up as a recommendation.
On YouTube, and you can listen to it through your car.
So we're listening to it. And Darrell says, "Who? We should get that guy on the show."
Because I heard the
series
voice.
of people being interviewed about the history of New Thought, the teachings. And so Greg came up, and I go, "Oh, wow, I never really noticed Greg before," because we've had other guests from that movie. And so I look up his name, and it turns out that he was a minister at the same church as Nancy Norman, who's a friend of ours, who's a guest recently, and Kathy Norman's mother, who we're going to to go see talk. We leave a message for Nancy Norman, say we didn't know how to pronounce his name. We said, "Do you know Greg Barrette? It's Darrell and Ed. We want to have him on the show." We hang up. We go, again, we left out on the voicemail of Nancy Norman. We go watch Kathy's talk. We're on fire. We're meeting all these people. Temple Hayes having inspired conversations with Fannie Flagg and
you name it.
Joe Namath. No, not Joe. You name it. And
we're putting away chairs.
Yeah, we're putting away chairs at the end of this, and all of a sudden Kathy Norman comes up to me
out of the blue.
Darrell was putting chairs away upstairs or something, and then all of a sudden she says, "Do you know Greg Barrette?" And I said, "Whoa, what? What'd you say?"
And then you called me over.
I got Darrell.
You're not
say it again. What? And she said, "Do you guys know Greg Barrette? I think he'd be great for the show." And we're like, "You're never going to believe that 10 minutes before we got here, we left a message for your mom asking her if she knew Greg Barrette."
This is why we love this stuff. This is the better than expected outcomes that you get to enjoy and share with one another as members of the Funniest Thing Club.
So we talked to Greg on the phone. We got his phone number, and because Kathy sent it to us, and there were so many funniest things. Greg has been a very long time Unity minister, and I mean that I don't mean that. And this guy's as old. No, I mean he's been doing it a long time. It's amazing how many connections we have with him. Everyone we know.
Well, it gets even. Our guest we just had, David McClure, was actually the first Unity minister I ever experienced when I came into this stuff at 23 in Honolulu at the slopes of Diamond Head.
Right.
We find out that at the same time, Greg Barrette was actually the minister at the Unity Church on the north side of the island.
Right. And he's, as a teenager, he's friends with John Strickland.
Oh, my God.
We find out that he knows Phil Pearson. There's just so many connections of that have been interwoven, and that's why we love the show. That's when we say funniest thing. You're never going to believe what happened. That's why it's called Funniest Thing.
Well, and these are people we like. It would have been a different story if he was friends with all the people we didn't enjoy.
Right. That's
what the funniest thing part that we enjoy.
Yeah, of course. That would be a terriblest thing would be the name of the show if it was all about connections that don't feel good. I know people that tune into shows that should be called Terriblest Thing. Most of the news should be called Terriblest Thing. But that's for another time. But for today, we want to introduce you to our new friend, an amazing person in the New Thought movement, an amazing teacher, a blessing to us already. His name's Greg Barrette. How are you doing today, sir?
Well, I am so excited, not only because I get to really see you and meet you and enjoy your energy in your life, but Mary Kupferle was one of my closest friends. And of course I knew Nancy and Kathy. Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Really close. Oh, yeah. We used to have lunch once a month, and she was a member of our congregation. She had been the minister for 17 years. And Nancy Norman was there. I hired her, and then she followed me, and then I followed her again. So Kathy and Nancy I've known for 45 years, and David McClure for 50. And I mean, it goes on and on.
Can you tell me? Can you just tell me brief? Because Mary Kupferle is one of our favorite authors, like because of the clarity and simplicity and practicality.
Just boom, she just kicks you upstairs.
Well, when you meeting her, could you feel that in her and the way she did things?
yeah, I could talk about her for an hour, but my favorite Mary Cufferly story is when she was in her 80s. But I don't know how far in the 80s because she didn't brag about it.
Right.
But she looked at me. She says, "You know what I'm going to do?" I said, "What?" And we were having our monthly lunch. She said, "I'm going to check myself into a codependency treatment center. I don't have that problem, but I want a place to go for a month where I don't have any distractions, where I can take my next spiritual step and go deeper." Do you know anybody who would do that? She used to play her ukulele like Tiny Tim and sing to everybody.
Wow.
She was the wildest, most fantastic person.
Wow.
You would have loved her.
Wow. That's amazing.
This is getting better by the minute.
Yeah.
She would have loved us then.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely share her words quite a bit on the show, so that's amazing. And then we always like to ask also if having listened to us go on and on for the first segment, if there's anything bubbling up based on what you've been hearing or what's present for you right now that you want to share as we kick this part off.
Well, I want to share a tool. I want to share a tool about rise and shine, rising up in consciousness. And it's a spiritual power tool called the spiritual thermometer.
We can't hear you at the moment with the book there.
Okay.
There you go.
It's a spiritual thermometer. And on a scale of 1 to 10, you just imagine this spiritual thermometer.
Yes.
And you ask yourself the question, where am I on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being, I am consciousness, Christ consciousness, and 0 being ain't it awful squared. So
wow.
You ask yourself, where am I on this scale? And then if anything above a 5 is in your soul, your higher self. Anything below a 5 is in your ego, your lower self. But you just be honest with yourself and then ask yourself, where would I like to be right now? And so let's say you're not doing too well. You're at about a 3. You just say, okay, I'm at a 3. Where would I like to be? Well, maybe I could take a 7. Maybe right now I'm not going too ambitiously. I'm just going to go to a 7. And just imagine yourself going up the scale on this bulb thermometer, and getting lighter and lighter and lighter. It's the simplest tool, but it will flick the switch for a completely different experience of moving from your lower self into your higher self.
Wow. And
it's from the book
Oh, we lost your volume again.
Jane Elizabeth Hart, who I gotta watch it here because I got a very directional mic. Jane Elizabeth Hart wrote this book, Spiritual Power Tools, and anybody who wants a free copy can just go onto her website, centerforenlightenment.com. It's called centerforenlightenment.com, and just click on it, and they will mail one to you for free, no obligation, nothing. She's just giving them away. I think she's 89 years old, and I've been studying with her for 30 years. So.
Oh my God, that's such a because I could see
the book, and it's got tools and tools and tools. That's just one of them.
I love that because visual works best for me, and instead of just trying to grab an abstract thought of feeling better. Right. So seeing this thermometer, even as you were saying it, and seeing my, where, and I could easily, where I'd like to be as opposed to where I am, and I could quickly see the image of a thermometer rising within me, and you're absolutely right, because as you were talking about it, I could feel my emotions rising in a positive way, just thinking about it as you were sharing it. That is incredible.
Really good.
Yeah, there are about 20 different tools in here, just like that. So anybody who wants it, it's free. She's got lots of these books. She's 89 years old, and she's been my teacher for 30 years. So
wow.
She used to be an executive at Unity headquarters, and now started the Center for Enlightenment. So just go to centerforenlightenment.com and click on the link, and it'll give you a free book. That's all.
Yeah, I love that. The other day I was driving home from work, and I was kind of getting a little bit heated about some things that were going on. I work in a public school, and there's just, sometimes the priorities get turned around, and which is fine. I had dealt with it, but then I was talking to someone else, and I just noticed, I guess my temperature was going up, but on that thermometer, my vibration was going down and down, and it felt so compelling to just try to keep going with it, like riding it. And what I did to go, there's this guy that Bob Baker on YouTube has. I think he has a website also, but he just has affirmative statements recorded, and they're very uplifting. I did them with I talked about this, doing it with my adult program. I teach special education, but over the summer we would do these every day. So I just see. There's the thing: our vibration wants to rise. And when I'm out of alignment, all of the mental energy is actually holding me down. And the harder I try, if I keep going down that same path, it's just holding on, harder. So sometimes the tough part is to get myself to do something that will allow me to let go and rise.
The willingness.
So I just put that thing on. I don't know how I had the wherewithal. I just pressed play on the YouTube, and I was driving. I wasn't looking at it. I was just driving, and I just started saying them, and I didn't even believe them.
Yeah.
But within minutes, like, whoa. I started shooting up the thermometer, and I even noticed all of a sudden I'm in traffic on the 405 here in LA, and instead of it being miserable, because I was so close between the two, I could see how I could have thought it was miserable, but instead I saw each person as just another loving person, but I could see, like, if I hadn't pushed play on that and allowed myself to rise, because that's the thing, all we got to do is rise, and then we naturally shine. This is all about. Life becomes easier, not harder, to live this way. Sometimes the hard part is the mental effort it takes to redirect our mind.
Well, it's almost like it's not even the redirecting. After you said that, I realized that's not the difficult part. No. The only part is, am I going to choose to be willing to go in that direction?
Yeah.
Am I going to be willing to call
allow myself to be who I am?
Yeah, am I going to be willing? Do I want to stay in which is so tempting. It's crazy, like we read at the end of the last segment from Kathy Norman.
Right.
But it really is, it's that tiny little bit of willingness to do the simple thing that I know will work.
Yes.
And it's almost, if I want to be 100% honest, it really is, when I'm unwilling, it's really like me going, no.
Yeah,
my dad saying, come on, we'll get you an ice cream. But now I'm still upset about no. And now I'm punishing myself.
Yeah.
But that's really what it is. Right. It's all it is. That's the good news. That's all it is, folks.
Right. Oh, so back to Greg. We get very excited about this stuff, and we could read the Daily Word. Or I wanted to know also if there's anything else you wanted to share on, because I know you saw we sent you the description for the episode, and if you had any other thoughts to share on the idea of rising and shining.
Well, what would you like me to do first, the Daily Word or share?
Daily Word.
Daily Word.
Let's hear the Daily Word.
Let's do the Daily Word. So let me just get everybody all moving up that thermometer, moving up.
Good idea.
And we're just going to start it off by imagining, just ask where you are honestly on a spiritual thermometer scale of 1 to 10. And then just ask, where would I like to be? And as I read these words, feel yourself and your energy go up like the red mercury in that thermometer. So let go, let God. I deepen in trust as I release control. It is such a relief not to have to maintain and sustain everything through my will or effort alone. As I release my worries and trust the divine, what I'm actually releasing is the illusion of control. My concerns are replaced with trust that I am nurtured, guided, and protected through all the seasons of life. I am one with this greater wholeness, drawing forth all the resources of the higher power of God. There is nothing for me to fear. Everything is being resolved in a way that may be invisible to my eyes, but is apparent in my heart. I am grateful that the circumstances in my life are working out for the best. My connection with my source lifts me into the higher spiritual realm where I can let go and trust God. And in Philippians, it says, do not worry about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. Let your requests be made known to God. I deepen in trust as I release control. Let go, let God.
Wow.
Amen.
Wow. That's divine.
So where are you on the spiritual thermometer now?
You know, I have to say, when you said check in with where you are, I started to think, I feel like I'm in a little bit too of a controlling place. I'm not listening enough and trusting that it's moving. And then so the first line you read was about that very thing. So now I'm at least into the 7 to 8 range now and on my way up.
Yes.
Darrell?
Oh, I feel high as a kite. But yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I think I'm only around a 4 or 5 for some reason. Like down below.
Right.
I couldn't really. Then I go, I'm not even going to try to pinpoint why. And I just started listening to Greg read, and it's amazing the difference.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I had a shot of that Jameson's that Indy's hiding in the studio
With
freezer.
the ice cream. With a little ice cream on the side.
Yeah, isn't it amazing the change of consciousness with just the simple application of words?
Yeah. How about you, Greg? How are you feeling?
You know, when I started it, I was maybe between a 7 and an 8, and I'd say I wanted to get between a 9 and a 10. So I just felt, as I was reading the words, I just felt that wonderful energy of the spiritual thermometer, which is right here.
Yeah.
That energy, I felt it going up, and I feel that my breath changes, my energy changes. My emotion changes.
Oh, yes.
There's a lightness and a brightness. My mind clears, and my body slows down.
Yes.
And that stress just gets released.
Yes.
And it's just one of the power tools that really we can use in a very simple way to support our souls to move into a different place. And sometimes the simplest things, the most basic things, make the biggest difference. This is really, elementary school stuff, but the difference it makes in your day is profound.
Yeah. That's I think the problem in most of this stuff is sometimes my mind will say, oh, that's silly. I need something more than that to feel better. But that's the good news. I mean, I've learned that now that's the good news. It's not the simple, silly things are the most effective when it comes to taking care of ourselves spiritually. It really is the simple little things that my mind can say, come on, I need something real, Greg.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me about the spiritual thermometer? You know where they put thermometers, don't you? I mean, that's the guy, the New Jersey mobster in my head. That's what he would say. But that's not the guy who serves me well. And I don't listen to him as much. And now I go, you know what, Greg? I give up. I'm going to choose to believe. And you know what? I'm never disappointed when I do. I'm so grateful you were the guest today and shared this with us.
That was amazing.
Well, the little voice in my head says, oh, it's just my imagination.
Oh, that too, yeah.
What else am I going to use?
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I had that realization last week that it's all like what we call a God or experience with God is only when I allow the thought into my mind. There's no other place where it starts. It's always just, and that was an uplifting thing. In the past, that might have scared me. What do you mean, God's just a thought? No, but it's through our imagination, through my mind where these ideas come. And then it made me think when what Greg just said and what you just said, that's the story of Jesus going, unless you become like one of these little kids, you're not going to get the kingdom. Yeah. And then I thought about, and I just told someone what your mentor Dugan said. Darrell had a great mentor who passed a lot of this stuff on to him, who was then Darrell's passed it along to me. And he said that there's a lot of people who are too smart to get this, but no one's too dumb to get this stuff.
That's right.
And it always works. It's amazing. And that's why it's a different world when we realize how much we can learn from children who are full of laughter and joy, and encourage them to be, and encourage ourselves to be more joyous and happy and free. Like, why would any kind of loving creator be like, I want you to go there and lose all your joy and become serious and you forget who you are.
Yeah, that'll make me happy.
Yeah, then I'll be satisfied. And then maybe I'll let you back in.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense, and that's the good news, because because it makes no sense. It's not something for me to give any merit to. And this stuff seems silly, but my mind realized it makes the most sense. Mm-hmm. And the proof is in the pudding. Yeah. It changes the way I feel for the better. It changes the way I behave for the better.
Right.
And it seems to miraculously, and this is the best part, without even me meddling, change my circumstances for the better. Mm-hmm. And that is what keeps me coming back and keeps me enthusiastic, and it keeps the magic happening, folks. That's the good news.
Well, that's what I was thinking about Greg, man. What keeps you coming back after all these years, and what keeps you coming back to continue to practice these principles?
I am a soul in evolution. And that awakening of the soul in evolution is the only reason why I'm here on this planet, or you're here on this planet, or anybody listening is to evolve into the awakening of the consciousness, the infinite consciousness that we already are inside, but just letting that hidden splendor out. Yes. And every day is an opportunity for it. And the thing is that it's beyond the opposites, because there's ups and there's downs. Right. And the thing is that you ride it like a wave.
Yes.
You ride it like a wave to move you forward.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Darrell and I had a fairly profound, but meaning we got a lot of joy out of a conversation we had this week when we were preparing for the show regarding the word Advent, and then looking that up and finding out what Eric Butterworth meant about it.
Yeah, because one of the things we recommend to our listeners, Greg, is that they do. I mean, we're not just CEOs
of the Hair Club for Men.
Of the Hair Club for Men, we're actually clients too. Meaning, we actually enjoy applying this stuff because we need to. We're hairless without it.
Right.
So the thing is, one of the things we recommend is doing a morning routine, and then as your emotions and mood and feeling, like we said, the spiritual thermometer, you start moving up on that. You might want to jot some of the things down that come to you during your day, as you're planning your day. And one of the things I wrote down just a few days ago, I'm excited for today's adventure in faith. And I realized, by the way, I accidentally wrote it. I saw it has Advent in the word adventure. For some reason, the way my hand wrote it, It was clearly apart. And I go, I bet there's a reason for this, because there always is when we discover these things about words. And sure enough, it is. Adventure
the coming of
is
something
from
new.
Advent.
Yeah, and it just got us going down this road, because Advent is like something new is coming. In religion, it's the Christ is going to be born, and in metaphysics, the Christ is it's the coming of the awareness, the Christ of our own inner Christ. And the reason I brought that up now is because there's this paradoxical thing, which is like we're always stepping into the unknown.
Yes,
but the unknown is actually just letting out more of who we are, and it's always just, in a way, getting reacquainted with who it's the only thing we can ever really know, but it feels unknown. It's this crazy, mysterious journey of, like you just described, of evolving, and the evolving is just becoming more and more of who we've always in the back of our mind known we were.
Yes.
And we're just expressing it into this reality, but for some reason we get great joy of seeing that reflected back to us, like, wow, this is real, I am loved. And then we become a light unto the world, and we truly rise and shine, and amazing things happen around us. It's incredible. So you want to wrap up the show. Greg, you have any parting words for our guests, for our listeners, as we wrap up the show today?
Well, I just want to encourage everyone to use these spiritual power tools every day in your life. All of these wonderful tools that we're given and we're provided, and they just lie dormant if we don't use them. But also to keep it simple.
Yes.
To just take, like you said, read 2 pages a day.
Yes.
That doesn't sound like much. but these little incremental steps that we take create a momentum, a flywheel effect that slowly builds, and eventually it has a life of its own and it's spinning out on its own. So truly take each day as it comes and put these spiritual power tools to work in your life every day.
Now, if people want to learn more about you, could you let them know where you're now stationed in Unity, or how to get in touch with you?
I am stationed at the Center for Enlightenment in Tarpon Springs, Florida. We have an online presence, and again, you can get a free book. Jane Elizabeth Hart is the director and the founder of it, and I teach there and lead support groups online. But there's some incredible resources, thousands of pages and hours of videos and teachings and self-study lessons that at centerforenlightenment.com that you can find out more about your soul.
I am so excited to get that book.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can hear it on the podcast. You hear it in Greg's voice. I encourage you to check out the YouTube video because the youthfulness and the joy, it's just so inspiring to feel it coming out of you, pouring out of you, to see that you've been at it this long, but you're still just as curious, it sounds like, as it's just the first day, or, like, that's what we love. I mean, that's true humility to me that is bred by these things, is like you just emanate youth and curiosity and wonder. Yes. So thank you so much for sharing that with us and our listeners today and our viewers.
But don't leave us just yet, because we did find something on TMZ about Greg Barrette. Yeah. We can't confirm or deny its validity, but Ed found this.
So everyone knows group.
Well, he just talked about him leading groups.
Yeah, right. Perfect. That's exactly right. So Greg Barrette, he's been a minister for a long time, right? So at one point he was leading a men's group at his church. So, you got to have a men's group. You have a church, for crying out loud. So he gets everyone together in the circle. And, you got to break the ice. You can't get into the deep water of spiritual development unless you break the ice, right? So he came up with this idea. Let's have everyone share something about your significant other, so they get to know each other, build a little intimacy and trust in the group, right? All right. So he says, we're just going to go around the group, just share something about your significant other. So the first man shares.
I'm still looking for that special someone.
Everyone nods. That's great. He's open. He's excited to find someone new. They affirmed, you're going to find someone. The next man this guy was just glowing, almost irritatingly smug. He was so satisfied. And he says,
my wife's an angel.
The third man looked up quickly and replied,
you're lucky. Mine's still alive.
Greg couldn't believe it. I gotta tell you.
He didn't know what to do.
That's what you call a dad joke. That's what kids would say.
Well, you could just swap one letter out and call it a bad joke.
Oh my gosh, who's here?
Johnny Mercer. Hey guys, you ready?
Oh yeah, let's fire up the band and sing us out. I said to the sun, good morning, sun. Rise and shine today. You gotta get going if you're gonna make a showing, and you got the right away. 'Cause it's a good day for paying your bills, and it's a good day for curing your ills. So take a deep breath and throw away the pills. It's a good day from morning till night.
Visit DarrellandEd.com to find easy links to everything we do, and thanks
Greg
for being
Barrette,
a part
we love you.
of Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed.
For singing a song, it's a good day for moving along, and it's a good day. How could anything go wrong? It's a good day from morning till night. Yes, it's a good day from morning till night.